I'm a 32 male. I've never had a good relationship with my father because he's been drinking my entire life. My mother divorced him like 20 years ago, and after that, his drinking got worse. Thankfully, he didn't even try to get custody and rarely used his visitation. As far as I know, he's never held down a job and got by because my mom had a good job and because he has family money. His father died when I was nearly adult and left him with an inheritance in the low 8 figures and a huge house. His drinking got even worse since. I don't remember a time since then that I've seen him and he wasn't drunk. I didn't even invite him to my wedding because I knew he would be wasted and cause a scene. Anyway, his 30+ years of being a drunk have finally caught up with him. His liver is shot and he will probably die within a year or two if he doesn't get a transplant. The chances of him getting one from a dead organ donor seem pretty low, especially as he has a rare blood type. His best chance seems to be to find a living donor to give part of theirs. Yes, for those of you who didn't know, you can donate part of your liver and it will regenerate. I'm the same blood type and obviously he wants me to donate. Thing is, I don't want to do it. It is a huge amount of risk to go through for someone I despise, especially since he will probably ruin that one too. But he is persistent, and finally I told him what it would take for me to do it. $5 million. He gives me the money first, and I promise I will do it. Yeah, I know this is wrong, but I don't really care. It's simply not worth it for me to do without being compensated. And no, I don't think a son-to-father donation would be scrutinized enough that anyone would find out. I'm a good liar, and so is he. He is extremely mad. Can't believe I would put a price tag on his life. Can't believe I would extort him like that, etc. Andy's threatened to tell everyone we know about how I'm extorting him unless I do it for free. LOL, the irony. I told him I don't care about anyone knowing, that I care more about his money than I do him, except for the added risk of being caught. So if I find out he told anyone, it would cost him an extra $1 million per person. I think he's putting the money together, but I'm not sure. Only people I have told are my mom and my wife. They both think it is wrong to sell organs no matter what, and that if I don't want to give my dad part of my liver, I should just say no and let him die. I obviously disagree. I don't care about my dad, but I do care about extracting lots of money from him, especially since I will likely be cut out of his will if I don't donate to him. You are not wrong, but you're a complete idiot. You illegally proposed donation for $5 million, and when he threatened to expose you, you doubled down on it? You can't trust him. He's going to tell someone, and this could end up with you in jail. And if you do get that $5 million somehow, I wouldn't be surprised if you were forced to return it. And on top of that, there's the risk from the surgery. This is all because you couldn't just say no, end of story, to your father when he was persistent with you. Oh wow, this is just wow. Guess you two are pretty similar in that you both have awful personalities. I don't even know how to give a verdict on this. Just gross all around. Your mother and wife are right. Either help him or cut him off fully. If you're an idiot, then I guess I'd be one too, because I'd probably do the exact same thing as you. He's got plenty of money and needs a liver. You have plenty of liver and need money. Sounds like a reasonable exchange. Since you're under no obligation to say yes to him, get the money, give him part of your liver, let it regenerate, and then get a financial planner. Don't blow through it and have a good life. You never even have to speak to him again, and yes, he will destroy the new one, but that's his business. That money can set you up for the rest of your life if you're careful with it. You are not the idiot. You are all idiots here. Your dad, of course, for letting his drinking affect his parenting and eventual lack of it, and you for trying to extort money from a dying man. I'm not saying, of course, to give him your liver for free, but just say no and move on with your life. My wife, 35, gave birth to our son a couple months ago. Since then, she's become zombie-like in personality and appearance. I found out for the first time how bad it is to be up close to somebody who was out in the Arizona heat doing errands and chores, who also doesn't shower for 3 days straight. When I try to talk to her, she's always passed out in front of the TV or by our son's crib and crying. When we try to go out in public together or want to go for a swim in our pool, she always very much wears laundry day clothes. And even when we buy the pool, She just dips her feet in and wears a 10-year-old sweatshirt over her swimsuit. It's really killed the love, tolerance, and attraction between us. My mom visited us today, and my wife was wearing boxy old clothes that have all kinds of fluid on them. My mom said the baby was sleeping right now and suggested my wife go take a shower and get into clothes that are more pleasant. My wife said she's fine. My mom patted her on the back and said that her hair is so stringy and that can't be good for anyone, and asked when was the last time she had a shower. She said that she used to always smell so good and be dressed so well, and that she could make more of an effort. She ended with, taking care of your appearance doesn't stop when the kids come. My wife got exceptionally upset and accused me of side-eyeing her stretch marks when she wore her old dresses. She then left the room and said she was taking a nap. My mom said she sees she's not welcome right now, and I told her not to be ridiculous, that this was my house and I wanted her to stay. I went to where my wife was and told her that my mom wasn't exactly wrong in noticing how she's basically given up on herself, and that she used to love doing and styling her previously long and shiny hair and getting compliments for it. I also said that my mom was almost ready to leave, and we should never make my mom feel unwelcome when she's just trying to be helpful. My wife snapped that my mom could do whatever she wants, and then started crying and saying she wanted to nap. Am I the idiot? Is this not your child? Why are you not helping to the point where she's reached a breaking point? Why are you more concerned with getting laid than your wife's well-being? Why would a woman who gave birth and is clearly doing all the work want to sleep with a boy who clearly cares more about his mother? You are the idiot so much. Time to cut the umbilical cord wrapped around your junk. I really love how OP is so concerned with his wife's well-being. She doesn't smell nice or look nice or have intimacy with him, and that's the problem? Never mind that she is caring for an infant, coping with massive hormone fluctuations, and adjusting to having a totally different body while sleep deprived and potentially depressed. None of that is an issue for OP. You are the idiot. Ever heard of postpartum depression? You need serious therapy. Your wife just created a life, and you and your mom are so fixed on her appearance, but not what's causing her to be like that. Get help. Maybe she has postpartum depression, but maybe she just has a 2-month-old and a crap husband. It sounds like OP's wife is doing all the childcare and chores. It might just be exhaustion and sleep deprivation because her husband, who isn't doing anything but whining over how his wife, who may not even be medically cleared for intimacy, won't sleep with him. You are such an idiot, to such an extent that I wonder if this is real. On the off chance it is, your wife had a baby a couple of months ago, and you're judging her wardrobe? She's getting used to taking care of a newborn, and you want to know why she doesn't have time to style her hair? Dude, your wife is depressed. This may just be because she has a partner who judges her at the point in life when she needs the most support, and who apparently isn't doing enough to help himself if he has the energy to worry about this with a newborn in the house. It's also possible she has postpartum depression, which is devastating and can last for years, in which case she needs professional help, and soon. What she does not need? You and your mom tag teaming her with insults. I, 35 female, have 2 children with my ex-husband. Our son is nearly adult, and our daughter is a few years younger than him. Ex-husband left me when I was pregnant with our daughter, but remained an active parent to our children. 6 years ago, he met and married his wife, who has a daughter the same age as ours. From pretty early on, my daughter has had issues with her stepsister. They share a room at my ex's, and my daughter has told me whenever she's there, her stepsister wants them to do nothing but hang out together. That she was upset that she didn't want to share their clothes and stuff with each other, and would wake her up in the middle of the night to talk. She said her dad encouraged her to enjoy having a sister. I encouraged her to speak to her stepsister about hanging out sometimes, but also wanting to do their own things. This never worked, and pretty soon, their stepsister wanted to come to my house. I never allowed that because my daughter didn't want her intruding in our home, but I did take them all to the park a couple of times, and it was obvious the girl was fixated on my daughter and being her friend, going so far as grabbing her the last time and pulling her away from other kids that my children were playing with. X was annoyed I wouldn't encourage it more but I told him I did not like how she was with our daughter. My daughter has grown to really dislike her stepsister, and I intervened to make sure they were never placed in the same class in school, which the teacher was actually agreeable to because the teacher they did share that first year was also not happy with how clingy she was with my daughter and noticed the discomfort. Over the years, it has gotten to the point my ex's stepdaughter wants to actually come to my house for the entire week my kids are with me. I would never consider it, but to me it's strange. She would want to come to stay with a relatively strange, to her, adult. So anyway, my daughter's birthday is coming up in a couple of months, and my ex asked if I would let his daughter sleep over to celebrate our daughter's birthday, or send her to them for the day, night, because her stepsister wants them to have a party together. I said no. He told me it wasn't fair and that I wasn't helping the relationship. This was something that came up with my daughter before, and she told me that she does not want to have her stepsister invited to any birthday celebrations here. So I was more than comfortable saying no. My ex told me that I needed to pick one of the two options. I told him he can't make demands like that. He said I am being a witch to a little girl who wants to celebrate her sister, and I have refused to let her into my home for far too long. I told him it's my right to refuse that, and he can't demand that any more than he can demand that I choose between two options for her birthday. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Even if your daughter wanted this, you would not be obligated to let someone else's child into your home. Your daughter has made her wishes clear, and it's great that you are standing up for her. You are not the idiot, and honestly, I know it's horrible and likely the last thing you want to do, but I'd honestly consider taking the custody agreement back to court to get at least your daughter more full time. It's apparent he's not putting her well-being and needs first. I'd also say therapy for your daughter if you can afford it, but this is above all of our pay grades and not healthy. Not the idiot. This level of attachment is not normal and should not be encouraged. I'm not saying there's anything dangerously wrong with the stepsister, but she has clearly formed an unhealthy attachment to your daughter, and instead of seeing that for what it is, your ex is framing it as a sisterly bond with your daughter, and you in the wrong for not doing what he deems to be enough to encourage it. Your daughter is more than old enough now to be clear about who she wants to spend time with and for how long. She has been very clear that she does not want this level of interaction with her stepsister. My family history is a bit complicated. We are an Asian family, and as such, certain things are culturally appropriate. For context, it is very much encouraged for children to stay with parents well beyond 30. This is the concept of joint family. Back to my issue. Me, 30 male, moved out of my family house when I was 18 to seek opportunities and employment. I did odd jobs, worked for a while on merchant navy ships, and worked in factories, etc., until I managed to get a good deal on a rented shop and established an electronics store. We are not too rich or successful, but we break even and have some or spare. Anyways, in our city, new factories opened up, and as such, I applied for the factory job and got a decent 9-to-5. My family arranged my marriage, and luckily I got a wife who also had a comfortable job in a bank. She helped me with my books and maintaining the shop, and we have achieved some limited success. And we managed to run the shop part-time after work, and have hired help to open it in the morning. That is when my problem started. My father believed since me and my wife are working full-time, I should hand over my shop to my younger brother, 28, who was unemployed and living in the family home. I objected to that statement because when I was working odd jobs, he would slouch on the cushion at home not doing anything and sneer at me for taking small jobs. The shop I created with my own blood and sweat. I had borrowed money as an initial investment from my father for the shop, which he reminds me from time to time. I am working full-time and have hired help to run the shop, a position I offer to my brother, but the family insists I should give him the controlling interest and me and my wife should not take care of the shop. I refuse to abide by this. This has not gone well with my family, with my mother calling me on our festival that she will never forgive me and my brother will never work for me. This has obviously given a lot of stress to me and my wife. She is of the opinion that I should let it go as we are now earning comfortably. But for me, the shop is something more than means of earning. He is unemployed and currently the shop will benefit him, but I have not seen him work my entire life, Nor do I think he's capable of handling the shop on his own. What do you think, wise internet? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. There is no evidence your brother can even handle being employed, let alone running a business. It's incredibly entitled of your family to expect you to hand over a business that has succeeded because of your hard work. You are not wrong. Should you also give him your wife because he's single? You worked for everything you have. It's yours to do with whatever you want. You are not the idiot, man. Your parents can't expect you to gateway your brother for life. If he wants to have dainty hands, then he can keep washing them in spoiled milk. It's not your fault or business that he has decided to be an eternal slouch forever. Do not give him anything. Also, from the context, your brother has no work or job experience, so how exactly is he going to run a shop on his own? I'm not a morning person in the slightest. I absolutely hate mornings. It more than likely does not help that I work until 3 a.m. most days because I'm a frontline worker and only have 5 other employees in my pod because everyone quits left and right. I'm just exhausted. I'm 28 and I have a son who is my absolute pride and joy. He is in hybrid learning, so 2 days at school, 3 days off. My grandmother's place was being renovated and she needed somewhere to stay. I said that's fine and told her point blank that she needed to be quiet in the mornings because after I get my boy on the bus, I go back to sleep so I can get enough time in before my 12+ hour shift that evening. Day 1 wasn't bad. I mean, she was being loud, slamming her cane on the floor to get the cat away from her and yelling when she wouldn't, but it was manageable. Before leaving for work that evening, I told her, "Try to be more quiet tomorrow morning, please." That's it. She said okay. Day 2, she woke me up at 5:30 a.m. to ask if my son had school, which he didn't, and not only that, my son already told her. At 6:45 a.m., she came back into my room to tell me coffee was made and to get up because I didn't have to work that night and there was no reason for me to be sleeping. I gave her 2 options. Either A, get out of my room and stay out because I didn't get home until 4 a.m. that morning from work, or B, she could leave. She decided to get out. Day 3 threw me off the deep end. I won't even pretend it didn't. I woke up to her getting into a full-blown argument with my son. She wouldn't let him get cereal by himself and said that he needed my permission first. At this point, my son is like seriously ticked. He keeps saying, "This is what we do here. Mom sleeps until 9. I get my own cereal. You don't know the rules." My grandmother is just straight up arguing with my boy, saying that's not happening, and then said I should be up helping him. I got up, put on the calmest face I could, went into the kitchen and told my boy he was fine and hugged him, turned to my grandmother and said, "It's time for you to leave now." She asked why. So I told her, "Because you've done nothing but disrupt the order of my household since you stepped foot in here. You refuse to let me sleep after working until 4 a.m. You continuously yell at my cat, and now you won't even let my son get his own cereal, even though you know this is how we do things. You need to leave." She's now telling everyone that my household is disorderly, that I make my son get his own food because I can't be bothered, and says I'm a lazy idiot. In fact, I think her exact words were, "Back in my day, we worked all hours and still made sure to be up with the sun to tend to the kids." She has never worked. Am I the idiot, or am I just mad and blowing this up? Not the idiot. If she's such a hard worker, you'd think she'd understand how following clearly stated rules works. Also, a little off topic, but your son is hilarious and a bit sassy, but I think he handled the situation really well. When I was a kid, I would always be scared of any authority figure and wouldn't say stuff like that to stand up for myself when I know I'm in the right until my early years. He clearly stated how things work here and doesn't seem like he lost his temper at all. I think you're doing well in raising him to be assertive in a calm manner. OMG, no, you are not wrong. There seems to be an epidemic of people out there needing a place to stay and then acting like monsters once they're invited in by the generosity of their host. You absolutely did the right thing. She'd never have respected or rolled with your household and system and would constantly be a high-maintenance disruption. If you can't respect your host home when it's perfectly functional the way it is, then you should find other accommodations.